Before you blame your body for tiredness, ask whose feelings you're carrying. If the answer is everyone's, you're not weak. You're exquisitely trained. Many empaths were raised in homes where peace depended on sensing storms before they formed. Jung would call that a persona for weather control while the self waits backstage. Let's name this without shame. Our complex forms when a charged knot of memories and emotions organizes around a figure, often a parent. In a mother or father complex, the child scans the room and offers comfort like a living lightning rod. The family's shadow, everything, unspoken or frightening, searches for a container and the sensitive child becomes it. If this is your pattern, hear me clearly. You're not broken. You're awakening. Empathy is a sacred instrument, but without structure it turns into a sponge. The more you wear the persona of the strong, spiritual one, the more people hand you their weather to hold. You start to mistake love for labor and presence for fixing. Exhaustion follows not because you lack stamina, but because you're carrying assignments that do not belong to you. Meet Liala. At 32, she is the listener at work and the mediator at home. She can feel a colleague's panic in the subject line of an email. She calls it intuition. Her body calls it bracing. Nights end with a buzzing mind and a heavy chest. She's grateful to be needed and angry that the needing never ends. Jungian psychology offers a map for what Liala is living. Projection means other people unconsciously unload their material onto a receptive target. The empath, schooled in attunement, absorbs it without protest and begins to identify as the healer, savior, or responsible one. Individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, stalls when your psyche serves as storage for everyone else's shadow. Spiritually, this feels like an aura with fine tears. Boundaries thin where chronic people-pleasing rubs against buried anger. Fatigue, headaches, dizziness after conversations. These are not character defects, they are messages. Your system is asking for containment. The task is not to glow harder for others, but to seat the self so your light belongs to you before it is shared. Here is the relief. Nothing essential about you is missing. What's missing is permission. Permission to stop scanning. Permission to name needs without apology. Permission to stop managing other people's weather and start tending your own sky. The first step is recognition. When you notice the impulse to rescue or pre-explain, pause and ask, what part of me believes my safety depends on their comfort? Curiosity loosens the old spell. Community matters. You are not the only one carrying family thunder in a heart. Type "seen" in the comments if you felt guilty for needing rest. Reading each other's words dismantles the loneliness that keeps the complex in charge. Tell us one place your energy leaks most. Late-night threads, surprise requests, or pep talks, and witness how many of us nod. Belonging repairs what isolation exhausts. Let's speak an affirmation, not as a trick, but as a contract with the self. My energy is sacred, not for constant rescue. Say it gently. Let it feel rebellious. That friction is the persona loosening its grip. The self does not bargain for love, it relates without self-erasure. As you practice, notice which relationships meet you beyond the old script and which love you when you are useful. Some of you are whispering, if I stop helping, who am I? That question is the doorway. You are more than the roles you were, rewarded for playing. Individuation is not selfishness, it is spiritual accuracy. As you differentiate from the family's shadow, you reclaim the authority to choose where your light goes. Paradoxically, your presence becomes more healing because it is whole, not leaking from hidden obligation. If this resonates, subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss practices ahead. Later, you'll get the Sovereign Aura Protocol. 4. Steps to mend leaks and return your center. Until then, try a small experiment. For one day, answer slowly. Let silence protect your nervous system. Notice who rushes to fill the space. That reaction is information, not a command. Share a piece of your journey below. When did you first realize you were carrying emotions that weren't yours, and what happened in your body? Your story will help someone else feel less alone, and community is medicine for the empath's nervous system. Sensitivity is not a sentence, it is a vocation that deserves wise stewardship and form. In the next section, we'll trace the wiring back to where the drain began, the family system. We'll explore how parentification, enmeshment, and unspoken rules forged the original plug, and how making the unconscious conscious begins to unplug it for good. You did not become the family peacemaker by accident. That hyper-attunement feels like love because it prevents rupture, yet it trains the body to brace over time. Jung would call this the birth of a complex, a charged knot of memories and emotions orbiting a parental figure. When a parent carries unacknowledged pain, the child organizes around it, crafting a persona designed to soothe. The hidden cost is gradual self-abandonment, a forgetting of the self that later shows up as exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. Parentification is one doorway into the pattern. You might have been the mini-therapist, the confidant, the scheduler who remembered everyone's needs but your own. Enmeshment is another. Boundaries blur until loyalty equals silence. The family shadow, what the system refuses to face, gets outsourced to the strong spiritual one. You are praised as mature or old soul, while your nervous system lives on red alert. Jung called this split a loosening from the self, the center that keeps opposites together without collapse. To survive, many empaths adopt 3 common masks. The peacemaker senses conflict early and diffuses it. The golden child shines to counterbalance unspoken grief or rage. The scapegoat breaks rules and carries the blame the group refuses to own. Each mask plugs into a parental complex. Praise and punishment glue it in place, forming a loop. The more you perform, the more the system works, the more you feel indispensable and drained. Here the psyche attempts balance through enantiodromia, the swing of opposites Jung described. Overfunction long enough and collapse arrives. You promise to stop rescuing, then panic when distance triggers guilt. The pendulum moves from self-denial to protective withdrawal and back again. Many interpret this as failure. It is actually data, a sign the self has been overruled by a loyal persona, trained to preserve attachment at all costs. Let's bring this home with Liala. As a child, she read her mother's footsteps like a forecast. Soft steps meant safety. Hard steps meant storms. She became funny at the table, quick with a compliment, quicker with an apology that wasn't hers. As an adult, she anticipates her boss's emails before they arrive. Individuation begins when she names the pattern. My vigilance is love dressed as fear. Naming loosens the spell. Transference carries these early bonds into adult relationships. Partners unconsciously invite you to play the same role. You accept because it feels familiar and because the helper identity has moral shine. Meanwhile, your body whispers truth through fatigue, headaches, and a sense of shrinking. The aura metaphor helps here. Imagine small tears where old promises to keep the peace keep leaking light. You repair the tear by renegotiating the promise, not by glowing harder for others. Validation first. If this is your story, you adapted brilliantly. You were not weak. You were wise in a dangerous environment. Yet the very skills that saved you are overused muscles now. The invitation is not to abandon empathy, but to bring structure to it. Jung's aim whole-making asks you to integrate the rejected parts, the angry protector, the unapologetic chooser, the child who wanted soothing instead of providing it. Integration restores energy because it ends the inner civil war. Try a gentle inventory. Where do you say yes to preempt conflict? Where do you avoid rest because stillness exposes someone else's unhappiness? Where do you apologize for existing by becoming useful? Write one sentence below beginning with, "In my family, love meant I had to," then breathe. Many of us share the same sentence in different words. Recognition is medicine because shame dissolves in shared language and witness. Community moment. Comment which childhood role you wore most: peacemaker, golden child, or scapegoat. Say it plainly. Many will mirror you. If you're willing, add one place your energy leaks today. Text chains, late-night advice marathons, or silent treatment chess. Your honesty becomes a map for someone still wandering the house you escaped. For accountability, reply to one person with a simple blessing. "I see you and your needs matter. Affirm with me now. I was drafted into roles I did not choose, and I choose myself." Let this be a revolutionary oath. Your nervous system may resist because familiarity equals safety. Honor that. Offer titrated steps. Answer messages later. Let a question hang without fixing it. Cancel the extra task you accepted to keep the peace. These micro-acts are not selfish. They are the self returning to the throne and the body remembering ease without apology. As we close this chapter, hold this paradox. You can love your family and break the contract that cost you your life force. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with you as the doorkeeper. In the next section, we will name why certain people plug into your field, how projection and shadow operate like magnets, and which signals reveal an aura breach so you can respond with clarity. When a person cannot bear their own fear or shame, the psyche seeks a container. Projection is the courier. Unwanted qualities get mailed to the nearest address. Empaths often become that address because our attunement signals capacity. Jung called the rejected bundle the shadow. Not evil, simply unlived. When shadow seeks a host, a porous boundary and a helper persona make a perfect landing strip, and fatigue arrives like a bill. Relationships are a dance of memory and expectation. Transference is the pull to repeat early bonds. Countertransference is our automatic response. Anxious partners project the helpless child, and we feel compelled to rescue. Grandiose friends project the superior persona, and we shrink, then over-deliver to regain belonging. In both cases, our aura functions like an open room where others store their storms. The more we hold, the less room we inhabit. Archetypes intensify. The magnetism. The healer, savior, and martyr glow in spiritual spaces. Over-identify with them and you inflate, mistaking constant giving for destiny. Inflation invites deflation. The crash after overextension, the quiet resentment, the hollow chest after fixing yet another crisis. Energy vampires are not a species. They are ordinary people in archetypal possession, seeking an external battery. Choose reality over rescue. Anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine, also color this pattern. If the inner masculine is thin, structure and protection falter. We say yes, while the body says no. If the inner feminine is wounded, we fear receptivity and neglect nourishment. The result is a field that gives without receiving, a circuit stuck on output. Individuation asks their marriage, receptive wisdom that feels truth and decisive boundaries. That act, there are early alarms that projection is landing. You feel older after a conversation. Your chest tightens before messages even open. You rehearse what to say and still doubt yourself. You start hiding, then shame yourself for withdrawing. Synchronicities may cluster, dead batteries, flickering, lights, broken plans, as if life underlines depletion. Treat these as friendly warnings, not verdicts or punishments, just guidance. Your system speaks in symbols long before it shouts with illness. A micro-practice can restore authorship. Place a hand on your heart and ask, what is mine, what is not? Wait. Sensations answer faster than thoughts. Heat, heaviness, leaning away. If helpful, say, I return what is not mine with compassion. Do this silently in meetings and family calls. You are not abandoning anyone. You are letting reality sit with its rightful owner so truth can work on them. Boundaries become sacred when they are embodied, clear, and consistent. Spiritual bypassing whispers. If you were truly loving, you wouldn't need boundaries. That is sentimental thinking. Real love includes form. Imagine your aura as an egg of light. Your words are the shell. I can't take that on. I'm available for 10 minutes. I'll respond tomorrow. Form keeps goodness from leaking and keeps you present enough to care. Return to Liala. A friend texts at midnight in crisis, old reflexes wake. She drafts replies. She pauses and writes, I care about you. I have energy to talk tomorrow afternoon. The friend rages, then calms. Liala shakes, then sleeps. The next day they talk briefly, and Liala suggests professional support. A week later, something quiet happens. Joy returns. That is recovered life force, made possible by truth spoken with form. Expect pushback. Archetypal possession resents losing supply. Tests appear, guilt-laced comments, sudden silence, praise followed by punishment. Hold your center. Affirm with me, my compassion is powerful because it has form. I am not a sponge, I am a steward of light. If you wish, type steward in the comments. Belonging with people who honor limits cures the loneliness that once made overgiving feel necessary. Notice how projection reverses as your structure holds. People carry their own feelings because there is no vacant room to store them anymore. You attract relationships that reciprocate instead of drain. Synchronicity shifts too. Invitations align, timing smooths, coincidences affirm your choices. This is not magic. It is a safer nervous system widening your field of possibility. Participation request. Share one sentence you will use this week to protect your energy. Keep it short and kind. Post it below and practice it out loud. Then encourage someone by echoing their sentence back. Repetition turns a sentence into a spine. Courage is a boundary spoken before fear subsides. Each time you speak it, fear shrinks and your self grows. We are nearing the remedy. You now understand why your field becomes a storage room and how shadow seeks containers. In the next section, I will offer the Sovereign Aura Protocol, clear, Jung-informed steps to move from porous empathy to sovereign presence. Prepare to replace exhaustion with steadiness, guilt with clarity, and leaking light with containment. Understanding the pattern is relief. Structure is liberation. Individuation is not an abstract ideal, but a daily choreography that moves you from porous empathy to embodied presence. This section offers a clear practice, the Sovereign Aura Protocol, grounded in Jung's psychology and spiritual hygiene. It restores authorship by aligning persona with the self, strengthening inner masculine form and inner feminine wisdom, and reassigning you from rescuer to creator. Step 1. Name the complex. A complex loses power when it is seen, felt, and addressed directly. Journal 3 columns: voice, trigger, body. Under voice, write phrases that arise when you feel compelled to fix. Under trigger, list situations that activate the voice. Under body, describe sensations. End with one compassionate line beginning, "Of course I learned this. I choose differently now." Language matters. Words are handles for energy. Add an imaginal dialogue. Close your eyes, invite the complex to take a form, and ask what it protects. It may appear as the loyal helper, the scared child, or the silent mother. Let it speak. Then answer as the self, present. Jung called this active imagination, a bridge between conscious will and unconscious life. 10 mindful minutes a day change the tone of an entire week. Active imagination offers containment. You hear the impulse, honor it, and reseat authority in the self. Step 2. Shadow dialogue. Projection dissolves when we reclaim disowned parts. On one page, write rescuer. On another, abandoned child. On a third, boundary keeper. Speak from each for 5 minutes. The rescuer might confess, "I need to be needed." The abandoned child might whisper, "Please don't leave." The boundary keeper says, "I keep the temple clean." Then, as the self, bless them. All 3 belong here. Integration is not erasing parts, but letting the self lead the chorus. We add a ritual to anchor this truth in the body. Stand, breathe down to your feet, and imagine a line from tailbone to crown. On the inhale, gather your energy. On the exhale, imagine excess cords releasing into the earth for composting. Touch the center of your chest and say, "What is mine returns. What is not mine releases." Simple words, consistent practice, profound return. The psyche respects rhythm more than intensity. Step 3. Sovereign boundary right. Love without form becomes leakage. Choose a boundary sentence for common drains. Examples: "I'm available for 10 minutes. I can't take that on. Let me respond tomorrow." Practice aloud until your voice feels even. Then deliver it in a real interaction and stay with the body heat that follows. Heat does not mean wrongness. It means old wiring meeting new form. Jung would call this enantiodromia, in service of wholeness, the old opposite giving way to balance. Support your boundary with environmental Design. Mute threads. Delay send. Place your phone in another room at night. Use calendar blocks labeled presence, food, nature, art. Structure is spirituality expressed as time. To counter guilt, pair each boundary with a purpose act. Write a page of your project. Take a walk, cook, pray, or call a nourishing friend. Boundaries free energy. Purpose directs it so it does not rush back into rescuing. Step 4. Purpose current. Where your purpose flows, drains dry up. Write a simple sentence that names what you create and post it where you decide. Each morning, commit 20 minutes to one aligned action. Small, steady devotion outlasts bursts of effort. Jung said the symbolic life saves us. Purpose is your symbol made daily. Purpose is not a job title. It is the direction your care flows. When you aren't rescuing, let's track Liala applying the protocol. She journals voices and notices the core spell. If I rest, I'm selfish. In active imagination, the silent mother appears, tired and proud. The self thanks her for survival and takes the keys. Liala rehearses a boundary, I can talk tomorrow, and lives through the heat after sending it. She mutes a thread and returns to a painting abandoned for years. Synchronicities ripple. A colleague asks to pay for a print. Sleep deepens. Mornings feel clear. Affirm with me, I choose self over persona. My compassion has form. If this lands, type sovereign. Below to anchor it. Then write one boundary sentence you will practice this week. Encourage another seeker by echoing their sentence back. Participation turns insight into embodiment. Subscribe and tap notifications if you want printable prompts for each step and a guided active imagination track. This community protects sensitivity without glorifying self-erasure. In the next section, we will widen the lens to vocation and lineage healing, how restored boundaries unlock the myth you are meant to live, and how your light can serve without leaking. You did not come here to carry endless storms. You came to steward light wisely. Exhaustion has been a teacher, not a verdict. Individuation brings you to the self, the organizing center that holds opposites without splitting. From here, purpose is not an assignment from the outside, but an emergence from within. The more you live from the self, the less you negotiate worth through service, and the more service becomes clean, joyful, sustainable. Purpose is a relationship with meaning, not a performance. Jung spoke of the symbolic life, letting daily actions serve something larger than the ego. When you cook, you feed lineage. When you rest, you restore the ground for future creation. When you say no, you say yes to a myth only you can live. Divine feminine and divine masculine meet here. Intuition with structure, receptivity with protection. You become a house where wisdom has walls and windows. Let's honor where you came from. If your family taught that love equals labor or silence, choosing ease will feel rebellious. That is initiation. The line, "No tree grows to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell," describes your path. You have faced the underworld of enmeshment and brought up roots strong enough to hold real joy. Thriving can feel like abandoning the tribe. In truth, it pioneers a usable road. A regulated nervous system becomes cultural leadership. What does soul purpose look like in ordinary hours? It looks like patterns reversing. You create more than you explain, listen without absorbing, bless without rescuing. You work with your gifts on a schedule that respects your body. You stop waiting for permission because the self is a steady signal inside you. Synchronicity begins to collaborate. Unexpected helpers appear. Doors open with less push, and setbacks feel like redirections rather than proof you are cursed. To embody this, choose a craft of devotion. It might be teaching, counseling, movement, design, code, medicine, gardening, parenting, music, or ministry. Give it a container that honors your sensitivity. Set office hours. Build margins. Invite reciprocity as a rule, not an exception. Price your work in a way that keeps you generous. The aim is neither martyrdom nor narcissism, but stewardship. You tend the flame so it can light many lamps without burning you down. Here is a simple weekly rhythm to anchor purpose. On day 1, vision. Journal the week's highest leverage action for your calling. On day 2, craft 90 minutes of focused creation without messaging. On day 3, connection. One meaningful conversation that nourishes you. On day 4, learning. Read, study, or practice a skill that upgrades your craft. On day 5, rest and wonder, walk, pray, or play. 2 weekend days float. Rhythm protects meaning. Our friend Liala begins to live this way. She blocks time for painting, opens a small shop, and practices calm, consistent boundaries with family. At first, guilt flares, then pride arrives clean and quiet. A stranger buys a print. A mentor offers space. Sleep deepens. She still feels sadness at times, but it no longer spills everywhere. Sorrow becomes information, not identity. She feels chosen, not to carry everyone, but to carry a specific light well. Community is the crucible where purpose ripens. Isolation exaggerates doubt. Witnessing shrinks it. Participation request. Share one boundary you will commit to this week that protects your calling. Keep it short and kind. Then reply to someone else with encouragement. I see you. Keep going. If you wish, post a single word that names your craft. Music, therapy, design, forest. Seeing a chorus of words rewires the nervous system. You are not alone. Affirmation ritual. Hand to heart. Slow breath. Repeat with me, softly but clearly. I steward my light with wisdom. My sensitivity serves purpose, not punishment. I am chosen to create, not to carry. Let the words settle like stones around a garden. Boundaries are the fence, devotion the water, joy the sunlight. The garden does not apologize for growing. It just grows. If this episode has supported you, subscribe and enable notifications so you receive new practices. Comment committed if you're ready to live from the self and not from the spell. Share your story. When did you first glimpse that your exhaustion had meaning? Your words will be a rope for someone still climbing. Invite a friend who needs this healing today. We close with a blessing for your lineage. May your yes be clean and your no be kind. May your inner feminine trust and your inner masculine protect. May synchronicity guide your steps and humility keep you teachable. May the self remain your steady sun, and may your purpose be a river, clear, replenishing, and freely shared, so others can drink without draining you.